Good morning, everybody. My name is Mike Gilligan, and I have a Facebook page called Smash Parental Alienation today. I'm doing this video specifically to address a topic that was talked about last night on All Fact Up, an internet radio station in Lake Grove, New York, WLINY, hosted by Kathy Cole. Again, the show's called All Fact Up. Great show. I would suggest as many as possible, my friends, to turn into the show. Kathy Cole, who's the host, does a great job in bringing attention to corruption here in our county, Suffolk County, New York, which is out of control. And as many of us know, and the FBI is actively investigating this county in numerous areas. But specifically, Kathy had a guest on last night named Allison and another guest named Michael Volpe. I had a bit of an emotional reaction to this program when they started talking about parental alienation and is there such a thing, or I agree with a lot of the things that Michael Volpe was saying. Michael Volpe, if you don't know who he is, he's an investigative reporter. He's an author of some books, and one in particular book that I read called Bullied to Death, the Chris Machney story. And basically, Chris Machney committed suicide as a result of not parental alienation, but being bullied in the court system. But parental alienation, or being a victim of a narcissistic sociopath who negatively influenced the children against the dad in that case. Caused him to terminate his life. Unfortunately, I wish that wasn't the case. I am a retired New York City police officer. I'm a street cop. Wasn't a detective or anything. I have a lot of experience on the street. I am also a father of 3 children. One of my children is an adult now, but specifically in my situation, I have 2 sons that are 14 and 10, and my ex-spouse, the mom, is in my opinion, and I'm not a doctor, this is my opinion, is a narcissistic sociopath. Basically, she has no empathy for anybody, and the children, forget about it, you know what I mean? She has no empathy for them at all to have a father. I am a man who doesn't have the label of domestic violence on his forehead. Never been arrested. I don't have orders of protection against me. But I'm not an angel either. I'm not a perfect human being. I made a decision to make less conflict for my children by not so vigorously asserting my rights about 2 years ago, because apparently I realized when I took a step back that it was creating tremendous conflict for my sons. They were seeing that Dad was getting very upset and crazy over what I'm legally supposed to have. I have divorce stipulations that indicate that I have my sons every week, and from week to week, I was always running into problems with my ex-wife. And when the divorce was final in 2013, she kicked it up a notch and really went out of her way to use the children in any situation she can to create conflict. And really, and I think in her hopes was to get me to commit domestic violence, to play on my emotions. I didn't do that. I was smart enough to step back and realize that. But I believe that what's happening to me and my children is parental alienation, whatever you want to call it. I also call it hostile parenting, pathogenic parenting, narcissistic sociopath. This woman is something wrong with her. And I got to be honest with you today, I'm not as much as angry at her as I am at the system, because they love a person like my ex-wife. Especially, my mistake has been to enter the court system. And what they do is they identify somebody like my ex, and they exploit it, create hours, try to sell services from the bench, giving you a GAL who's appointed by the judge. I had when I initially filed this action, they assigned us to a referee. He recommended assigning us to a psychologist, which turned out to be a joke. And these people are basically court contracts. These are people associated with the court. They got county awards, state awards, and they're campaign donors, more than likely. I can't say that this psychologist was, but I suspect he is. He's a tremendous contributor to the system, and he's favored over other psychologists, especially the ones associated with my insurance company that aren't on their list. You know what I mean? And the judge gets to a point to say that we can go to counseling, but I have to pay cash out of pocket, and I'm not allowed to use my insurance. Doesn't make any sense. But this is what they do. And I didn't like the fact that parental alienation, or the guest and Michael Volpe were trying to say that it doesn't exist. There's no such thing. I can understand where Michael Volpe's coming from. He's a logic thinker, and he's an investigative reporter, and he is exactly right that it is custodial interference. I can tell you as a cop, it's custodial interference. But the bottom line is that we have police departments all across this country are arm in arm with the Department of Social Services in their community, with the family courts, with the criminal courts, with the civilian parts of court that deal with divorce. They're all in it together. It's all a part of the system. And I can tell you personally, in New York State, we have a document called the Domestic Incident Report. I filled out personally hundreds of these. I won't say thousands, hundreds of these during the course of my career. It's a 2-page report. The first page is specifically for the officer to, there's a lot of check boxes and stuff like that, checking off things, warrants, is there an order of protection? Did I do a name check? All this stuff. But the second page is for the complainant witness. And it's for the complainant witness. It's an affidavit, basically, a supporting deposition. And they get to write their own story about what occurred for the incident we're responding to. Well, in New York City, we afforded complainant witnesses the opportunity to fill this out, even in their own language if they didn't speak English. Matter of fact, there's instructions on it that are in Spanish. In Suffolk County, this didn't happen. Never happened to me. I have over 20 domestic incident reports for non-visitation that's clearly stated in my divorce stipulation. The Suffolk County police officer would never let me write my own story on the second page of the domestic incident report. Is this part of the corruption problem maybe in Suffolk County? More than likely. Basically they want to control statistics. They want to control the situation. They want to make the officer on the scene in Suffolk County the decision maker as to whether it's not it's going to be criminal or civil. And most of the times in the situations like mine where my ex just wouldn't be there for my visit or was unavailable, it was deemed civil. But if I was afforded the right to write my own statement, I certainly would have articulated some type of custodial interference, possibly some abuse. They don't want that to happen. They don't want smart people like me who have taken a step back and from their emotions, and it's taken me a while to do that, by the way, to do that. It's a very, very insidious thing that's going on in our court system, and the police, social services, and the courts are being used to traffic men specifically like me, or it could be a mother too, but they want to create non-custodial parents, parents that are going to pay into child support. Child support is a federal program, all right, and basically the county and the states are incentivized by creating the non-custodial parent because once I start paying into the system, they get matching federal funding. And this is what it's all about. The incentive is there. It's corruption. Legal corruption maybe, but it's there. And we're put in this position. But I believe that, whatever the APA is going to call parental alienation, because they've withdrawn their statement from from their website on parental alienation. It was tied into domestic violence and a police matter, and that was total nonsense. I've never taken a police report for parental alienation, or I probably articulated custodial interference, but a lot of times I was shot down by a boss, or and the DAs don't do anything about it. They kick it to a civilian venue, and and this is why domestic violence is an issue, because we're not properly dealing with the problem. The system, in my opinion, creates domestic violence. But I don't want to. My friend Carlos Rivera has a new program out called The Best Interest of the Children. It's going to air Monday nights, 8:15. And we're going to deal with. He's going to deal with topics like parental alienation as we understand it. I felt that show last night was discrediting anything that my friend Carlos may try to talk about, or we don't nothing. And quite frankly, Allison was trying was indicating that Michael Volpe is some kind of expert. He's not. He's an investigative reporter. He's not an expert at parental alienation. I do respect his work. I believe he's a great investigative reporter. We need him to be out there on the front lines reporting about incidences like this. But, and he's right that it is custodial interference. There is neglect. There is child abuse. But, our people in the mental health field are failing us. They're the ones failing us. They're not identifying what it is. There are things that, my ex-wife is a narcissistic sociopath. If they were to evaluate her, that's what they'd find out. Her standard answer for is, when it comes to the father of the children, she always says, and this is when I was with her and I had stepkids, and when I questioned her about how come the father doesn't call, her answer was, I don't force my kids to call their father. Well, what is that? What do you mean force your kids? You can't encourage it. You can't say, hey, listen, why don't you give your dad a call for his birthday? Why don't you give your dad a call for his Father's Day? Send him a Father's Day card. This was never encouraged. All right? The bottom line is that we have a system out there that's supporting this type of activity in the American family. It's destroying the American family. Anybody who's looking to get a divorce, don't look to the family court system. Don't look to the Supreme Court system. You're not going to get the help that you want. The best way, if you have an amicable situation where you have two parents that, it's time to split up, go to mediation. Go to mediation, whatever you can do. Find a mediator in your area. Try to work it out there before the papers are submitted to court. And believe me, the court system don't like mediators, especially an amicable divorces. They don't like it because they can't create hours from it. They love people where there's tremendous conflict. And the members of the bar, the two attorneys that are, on opposite sides, and the honorable attorney in the black robe, they all collude behind, in chambers when they have a conference. Besides talking about what their vacations were like, and what their golf score is, they're colluding about how they could, keep adjourning and create more conflict. This, creates tension, creates anger, and sends people over the edge a lot of times. People in my position that who are affectionately available parents to their children, who can have an impact on their kids. My two sons, I have a 14-year-old son. He's going to become a man. Who is his role model? Who is he modeling himself against? This is the problem that we're having. All right. I'm in a position now. I offered a settlement to end my contempt case against my wife because they're not going to do anything for me. They're really not. It's corrupt. Suffolk County, New York is under federal investigation. Everybody is corrupt. Everything has to do with campaign donations, and selling services to their friends and family who are in the fields that they're looking to sell services to, psychology, sociology, whatever. GALs, GALs are on, why they have them. My GAL, I've heard from her once. They talk to the kids for 10 to 15 minutes, and then they make decisions that impact their life and impact their parents' life. It's ridiculous. Totally unnecessary. These people are not professionals. They're criminals. I'm convinced they're criminals. I'm also convinced of other things, too. People should start asking why that, maybe this is a little kooky theory, but you go into a courtroom and they have that American flag with the gold fringes around it. It's a military flag. What is that doing in our courtrooms? I mean, there's a tremendous amount of court cases that I've just researched that address this issue. Why isn't the standard United States flag flying in our courtroom? And for some reason or another, our courts want this gold fringe flag in the courtroom. They don't want to put a regular constitutional flag in there. Why is a military flag in our courtroom? Are my U.S. common law rights secured in a courtroom? I don't even know. I mean, if I ask that in court, will they attempt to intimidate me? Because this is what they want to do. They want to intimidate non-custodial parents. They don't want them to bring action into court to try to, get out of child support or have child support lowered, because it affects their federal funding. Anyway, I just had a problem with that last night with, the classification of what people thought about it. Does parental alienation exist? There are narcissistic, sociopathic parents out there who are intentionally negatively influencing their children to reject another parent. That's a fact. That's child abuse. It's custodial interference. But take it from this police officer. There's not a cop out there in this country that's gonna get shot down at the desk officer who's got to review the paperwork. It's never going to make it to a criminal venue. It's never. Just take my word for it. It's not. Because they're all in bed. We're all in bed. They're all in bed together. I can see it now. We're in bed. The police officer is in bed with social services, with the family court, with criminal court, because we're all on one team supposedly. And they're using the cops who are ignorant to really of the intricacies of it. But now that I'm retired and I've been able to take a look at it, it's insidious. And we have a tremendous problem. But, tune in on Monday nights, 8:15. Carlos Rivera, Best Interest of the Children. He's going to talk about these topics and other topics. And, and again, Michael Volpe's not an expert on parental alienation. He's not an expert on narcissistic, sociopathic, and neither am I. But I'm dealing with this, and here I am, a father. No criminal actions against me, no orders of protection. I made a decision to protect my children because it's the only way I could. I had to step away to create less conflict, and and disengage my narcissistic ex-spouse who probably had a problem with me doing that. I probably got really angry that I did that because I don't engage her and create conflict, which she wants the children to see. And say, hey, look, see your father? He's out of control. Look at him. This and that and the other thing. It's very insidious. And there is such a thing as parental alienation. Whether it's going to be called that by the APA, parental alienation, or it's going to be called some kind of doctorate term, sociopathic something or whatever. There is something out there that it's a condition, and there is debate about it. Michael Volpe is right about that. And there are criminal terms. It should be custodial interference, but I can almost definitely assure you that unless there's real change, the police departments in this country are not going to do it. The courts won't let them, and and until the APA changes their statement, which apparently they're changing their statement on parental alienation because they withdrew the statement that they had in there. So that's all. I just had to put my 2 cents in. It's almost 18 minutes now, and 19 minutes. So I hope you listen. Have a great day.